Oh, crap.
Hey, where are you? Look, don't crank your car again. It's leaking oil. I know you just had it changed. They've left something loose. Don't crank it again. I'm on my way.
Well, that's a pretty close approximation as to what actually happened about 2 weeks ago with our 21 Highlander. Let's go back in time just a little bit to when we bought the 21 Highlander. 21 Highlander came with a program, which I know that you pay for, of oil changes and tire rotations for the first 2 years of ownership. I was unsure about the mileage, but it is 25,000 miles or 2 years. Oil changes and tire rotations. So we have been taking our Highlander back to the dealer, scheduled online, carried in, have everything done. So I'll go ahead and field the question of, well, you're a mechanic, why aren't you doing this stuff yourself? Okay, I'll answer that question to start with. I'm a fleet mechanic, and I have a fleet of about 70 trucks, and I do several hundred oil changes a year. Plus, if you've been on the channel for a while, you probably know that I have at least 4 or 5 other vehicles that are in my charge here at home, and I took the opportunity to relieve myself of one. Oil changes are a pretty simple and straightforward process. But if they are not done correctly, can cost thousands and thousands of dollars. When I first found this, I was extremely upset. I was extremely angry. And just like you saw me portray at the beginning of this video, my wife had come home the day before and had gone out before I had had an opportunity to even check the vehicle to make sure that everything was as it should be. And she was at my son's house. He was able to climb onto the vehicle and determine that the oil drain plug had only been placed back in hand tight. This is why the title of this video is Never Trust Anyone. And I'll go as far as to say, not even yourself. Check, double check, triple check to make sure that you have done everything that you're supposed to do on your oil change. Now, again, as I said just a minute ago, when I found this, I was beyond angry. Everybody knows what new vehicles cost these days. The downtime and what this would have cost us had we not caught it in time. At the rate in which this was leaking, I figure she drove 25 miles home, thereabouts. It sat overnight and she drove it 25 miles south, further south to my son's home, and it had lost half a quart. So it's losing a half a quart every 50 miles. Half a quart every 50 miles. You know, within say 350 miles, it would have, you know, within a week's time, it would have been without oil. She drives a lot of interstate. It could have gone really bad, really fast. So I discovered this on a Saturday, and by the time I had discovered it, the dealership was already closed. So I just had decided that I would call on Monday. So I did, in fact, call on Monday, and I'm really truly glad I had the time between Saturday and Monday to evaluate and to think about what my reaction was going to be, because it gave me a chance to reflect back on a time when I first started out as a mechanic that I did something that I'll just say it was stupid. It was something that I should have caught and something I should have done. No, it wasn't the oil drain plug, but I was working in an 18-wheeler repair shop, and I had replaced a bunch of hoses and put a radiator back in, and I don't know how I got distracted, but I left a hose clamp loose on the lower radiator hose. I filled it all back up with coolant. I ran the truck in the shop. I brought it up to temperature. There were no leaks. There were no problems whatsoever. So we give the truck back to the customer. This truck actually made it. I think it was 300 or 400 miles up the road. And it blew this lower radiator hose off. And of course it lost all its coolant. And the good thing on an 18-wheeler, fortunately, is they have a low coolant detection. So the low coolant light came on, the driver stopped. It was not that big a deal. The driver was pretty savvy. He got out there, figured out what was going on, tightened the clamp, got it filled back up with coolant and water, and was able to get back on the road in short order. But the trucking company was based out of where our repair shop was, and he came by the shop and told us about it. And they called me in the office, and he razzed me pretty good. But you know what he did? That impressed upon me. He showed me grace. He knew I hadn't been doing it long. And he didn't bawl me out. What happened to me could have gone really, really bad. What happened here could have gone really, really bad. But it didn't. So when I called the shop foreman and I got him on the phone, I said, look, I don't want you to go at this guy 100 miles an hour. I don't want you to fire him. I want you to use this as a teaching moment. And I explained to the gentleman what had happened to me and that how I was shown grace when I made a mistake. And that the guy needed to do better. But I wanted him to know I didn't want him fired because of it. So, you know, there's a couple takeaways here. We're human. We get distracted. Sometimes we make mistakes. Wishing somebody to lose their job because they made a mistake, I don't think that's the right move. They need to learn from it. Now, don't get me completely wrong. If they're not learning from their mistakes and they continue to make the same ones over and over, maybe you need to find another profession. But the main thing I think we need to talk about here is, especially with everything we got going on in the world right now, showing each other just a little bit of grace. Now, with all that said, whenever you get an oil change done on your vehicle or any major service done on your vehicle, the next few days throughout the week, move the vehicle out of its spot that you normally park it. Always try to park in the same place. Move the vehicle out from that place. Look around under your vehicle. Do you see anything leaking? Can you identify it? Is it clear water that's just from your air conditioner drain? Is it pink or yellow or green? Is it coolant? Is it red? Is it transmission fluid? Is it golden or brown? Is it your motor oil? It's a few things you just learn along the way, guys. So, take this lesson, learned by a professional mechanic right here recently. Never trust anybody. We're only human and we make mistakes. So, thanks for coming by. Hope y'all have a great day.